I'm not a believer in staying for the kids, okay? I understand why people do it. I understand the argument. I respect the desire to keep a household together and have two parents in the household and all these things. I feel you. However, what I know, what I've seen too many times is that if the household is unhealthy, you are defeating the purpose and you're going to create more problems than anything. So many children that I now coach as adults were once those children living in these unhealthy households. Some of these same grown adults come from households where they had the parents that were together for 30 years and everybody was like, oh my gosh, look at them. They're so wonderful. They're together for 30 years. Little did you know that they were going at it, like, not to laugh, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many untold stories of what's going on behind closed doors. And again, we're not talking about good couples having some ups and downs. We're talking about this was dysfunction. We're talking about this was wrong from the start. We're talking about people who are miserable, unhealthy, and it pours over into the children. And there's so many different things that can come out of that. One, consider this. If you are not happy, right? You are, let's just use the word miserable due to the relationship that you find yourself in and maybe feel stuck in. It's going to be very difficult for you to show up for your kids the way that you would need to or at your true potential. Many times a parent may feel like, yeah, I'm there, I'm present, I'm pouring love, and it's like, nah, you're not. And it's not to make you feel like a bad parent or anything like that. But again, for those of you, think back to your childhood and think about what you've experienced. Some of the negativity that you've gone through with your parents growing up was a pour over of their unhappiness and miserableness that they could not, basically, like, it's the whole hurt people hurt people. And so I always say, majority of the people that I've talked to who I've coached have had some kind of dysfunction or hurt with their parents. And whenever we look at the parent's life, whether it be the parent's childhood, the parent's marriage, whatever, there's hurt going on for them. They don't know how to deal with it. So naturally, they basically, it's like they get cut, they bleed on their kids. Plain and simple. And sometimes you're not even aware of how much you're bleeding. You're not even aware. The same way your parent may not understand the impact they had on you in a negative way, may not understand how present they were not, may not understand how they were always so grumpy, negative, critical, rather than loving, compassionate, understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't get it because they were so lost in their own feelings and inner battle of being somewhere they did not belong. And this just goes on, and the cycle continues. And that's why it's so important to understand, listen, if we're going to stay together for the kids, the goal has to be creating a happy, positive household. If that cannot be achieved together, then I do think there's going to be some scenarios where we have to consider going apart. Because I tell you this, I've on the flip side, I've seen kids who the parents separated, divorced, whatever, broke up, but because now they were able to create a healthy co-parenting relationship and they both have healthier households now, the kids were able to get through that. One of the things I've seen, and again, I'm not going to say this is the case for every child, but one of the things I've seen that the kids struggle with more versus the parents no longer being together is the confusion about what happened. So a lot of times you'll have this, again, I'm going to use breakup or divorce because in today's world, we have some people who been together for years, have kids, and they don't actually get married, but then they still end up with a breakup, so to speak. But when that breakup or divorce happens, they were being sold, the child, all these years that these two people loved each other. And now all of a sudden it's done. That's confusing, right? That creates conflict. That creates stress. That creates resentment because now they're trying to figure out for themselves what went wrong here. Sometimes the kids will blame themselves and internalize the issue, right? And that's what's creating all these additional problems versus if they were actually told why this really happened, the truth, that could clear up a lot of that confusion and eliminate those issues from arising. But the bottom line is, you got to be careful, because if that household is going to be unhealthy with kids involved, no one's benefiting from that. You got to figure out how we can get to a better, more positive, loving place, or consider a different dynamic. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Relationships are the key to a successful life. But there's 5 areas that we have to be mindful of when it comes to relationships. There's relationship with God, relationship with ourselves, relationship with family and friends,